Hey, how's it going? So today I wanted to share with you a different way of thinking about mindsets, and it's the difference between the abundance mindset or thinking about the world as a garden, as opposed to thinking about it in the scarcity mindset, which involves thinking about the world as a pie, an economic pie, you could say. Now, I got this analogy from Dr. Myron. He's an entrepreneur. He helps other entrepreneurs create offers that help them grow their businesses and realize the dreams that they want to achieve. Really, really cool guy to follow. But when he said this, it really, wow, opened my mind up. So oftentimes, just the way the world is structured at the moment, we think of the world as an economic pie. So the goal is to amass as much of it as you can. So whether it's resources, whether it's money, whether it's business, just trying to hoard as much as you can and give as little as you can so you can end up accumulating more. And the idea of consuming or getting means necessarily in that mindset that you are, in a sense, taking, and when you take, nobody else gets access to it. Whereas the garden analogy of the abundance mindset actually says that actually no, the idea of you consuming, of you engaging in the economy, of you sharing, of you working with other people actually leads to more being created. Let me explain further. So if you think of a garden has many trees in it. It has apple trees, orange trees, pear trees, banana trees. And in each tree, you will find fruits. You will find dozens and scores of apple fruits. You will find the same whether it comes to apples or bananas or different things. Now, when you take an apple from the tree, in the short term, it might look like it's reducing the number of apples available, but then in you consuming that apple, you expose a seed. Now that seed has the power to birth many more apples when by being put into the ground and for it to turn into another tree, which would then create even more apples. So that's the analogy there. Now let me take that to the world of business. It basically says that when you think of business, you're also thinking of, okay, not just doing everything yourself and trying to just amass as much as you can, not giving as much in the hopes that you'll grow your profit that way, but instead looking to see how you can actually share your resources, how you can give more of yourself, give more than you take and more than you receive in such a way that actually benefits more people and benefits the whole. Let me take it a step further. For example, let's say you have a YouTube business. Initially, when you're starting off, it could be just you doing the writing the script, doing the recording, doing the editing, the posting, the promoting, all of that. But at some point, you want to expand further and actually bring other people on board. Yes, it will seem like you are taking on more costs, but actually, in doing that, you actually expand the output that you're able to produce. Not only are you doing that, you also are creating opportunities for other people to grow. And by paying them, you're giving them money with which they can actually do other things with. If you're looking for a book which kind of goes into more detail about this, I recommend Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. I've done a video about this actually, so you can check out one of my previous videos. But that video basically talks about how when you have a problem to solve, don't just think about how do I solve it, but think who. Who is the best person placed to help me with solving this issue or this problem? But back to this abundance versus scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset puts you in a position where you're forever fearful, you're forever anxious, and you're always thinking, it's a dog eat dog world. It's a world where in order for me to succeed, somebody else has to go down. Whereas it doesn't have to be that way. There is a better way. When we think of the abundance mindset, sometimes I struggled with the analogy of consumption. So does it mean that I just, spend recklessly in the hopes that because I'm spending so much money, somehow it will all come back to me? Not exactly. And I think it's worth pointing this out. When it comes to thinking about the world as a garden as opposed to an economic pie or a pie that is finite, the important thing here is to consider that, okay, what you're doing is purposely doing things and knowing that it will unlock opportunities. Somehow it would unlock opportunities for other people. And in the end, giving brings things back to you. So when you think of the consumption part of this whole analogy, you've got to realize that the consumption is unlocking something. So when you eat the apple and you consume it, you expose the seed, which is powerful enough to generate more apples. So that's just something to bear in mind. It's less about just spending, but actually being part of an ecosystem of circulation, and letting money flow, and then not just money, actually letting resources flow around. So not just trying to take as much as you can and give as little as you can, but actually be open to receiving, but also be open to giving. And then the economy goes around that way. Another thing that inspired me to think a lot about this abundance mindset and, thinking about things as a garden beyond the example that Myron Golden shared was actually looking at my husband's example. So he's a very generous person and in many ways more generous than I could be in certain situations. I'll explain. So before we got married, he would actually house people who were coming into the country for the first time. So, and when I say people, I'm not just talking individuals, I'm even talking families. He would take them into his house and so provide them with food and shelter, such that it meant that when they moved into the country, things were a lot easier for them. They didn't have to worry too much about, where they or their family would sleep or, about food. He just made sure those were taken care of so that they had enough time and headspace to actually go ahead and look for jobs and eventually find jobs. And when they did find those jobs, they were able to move on. Now, if they could contribute to the expenses in the house, yeah, he let them, but they weren't necessarily under an obligation to do that. What that did for them was that it opened them up to more opportunities. It gave them the time they needed without the stress to actually find roles that worked for them and situations that work for their families, as opposed to being very squeezed economically. And many of them actually say to him, what you did for us, we really appreciate it. We don't know that we could do the exact same because it's a lot, but they really appreciated it. And what he's done for them is he's unlocked things. Now, he's not just generous in that, even with his students, he's a professor. And what with his students, what he also does is that he celebrates with them. So when it's somebody's birthday, I think he was doing it initially every week, and then he turned it into a monthly thing. So every month they buy pizza or cake and they just celebrate the birthdays of whoever of the students in the class. Now, that's pretty unheard of. It's not something lecturers normally do or professors normally do, but he does it as a way of connecting with his students, as a way of, showing them appreciation and just helping make their studies just that much more pleasant. And what goes around comes around, And he's the sort of person who's always trying to anticipate people's needs and actually sometimes even meet those needs before they realize their needs. And for me, that's very exemplary and is something that I think is worthy of emulation. And it's not just a thing of him doing it because he has a lot. He doesn't necessarily have a lot to just be spending just willy-nilly, but instead he has chosen to prioritize giving and helping other people because it's something that's important to him and it's something that he believes in. And it's just something that's really challenged me, is what I'd say about that. But even again, underlying all of that is biblical principle, right? We're both Christians and we follow the principles of the Bible. So in the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 38, it says something like, "Give, and it will be given unto you, for with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you." So basically what it's saying is that when you give, you're in a sense sowing a seed. And when you sow that seed or when you plant that seed, it will come back to you in many folds. So like the apple seed analogy we were using earlier, if you take that seed, you plant it, not only do you get an apple tree, you get many apples as a result of planting that seed. So giving is a bit like that. It runs counterintuitive to how the world generally sees things, where things are seen as finite and you're on if you consume it, it means that you get it, but then other people can't. Instead, it's thinking, okay, how can I be a channel of blessing even in the things I do? And the Bible clearly teaches us that we are to be, we like giving is an important thing. And as you give, you will receive. Now, sometimes when you give, it doesn't necessarily come back to you in the way you expect or in the same way that you gave, but sometimes it does. I think of the example of Solomon in the Bible. So God visits him in a dream and says, "Solomon, ask me for anything and I'll give it to you." And instead of asking for things for himself, he says, "Okay, God, you've blessed me with the opportunity to lead your people. but I'm a young person. I don't have all the wisdom. Help me, give me the wisdom to lead your people right. And God was pretty impressed with that. He's just like, you could have asked for gold, you could have asked for riches, you could have asked for your enemies to be defeated. And instead, you chose to ask for something that actually is dear to me. And in a sense, that was him giving to God. And as a result, God then said, you know what? I'm going to bless you with what you asked for, but I'm going to give you even more than that. Even the things that you did not think to ask for, I will bless you with it. And then we read in the Bible that Solomon was a very rich king. He was also very wise. All his enemies were at peace with him in that period. And in a sense, it was his generosity. Instead of taking, and he could have legitimately just taken because the offer was given to him, but in that moment he chose to give, and his giving actually resulted in him having way more than he could have ever asked for. Giving is important. And then, yet again, actually, let me share something else with you. So, again, I learned a lot from reading the Bible. And in this same Bible, giving is actually godlike. So, the Bible talks about how God gave his only son so that he could redeem all of us and so that we could still have a relationship with him. Now think about that. You've got a people who are maybe sinful, who are sinful and who are unable to access God because of that sin. And yet he says, you know what? I'm willing to give my one and only son. Again, that word giving, willing to give my one and only son such that I can prepare this relationship with my creations, and which is us human beings, such that we can come back and have a relationship with him. That was a huge sacrifice on his part. That was him being generous and giving. And in him doing so, yes, we were able to have a relationship with him. And if we tell ourselves we're going to be Christ-like, it does mean that we aim to emulate God, God being God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And so that for me was again just eye-opening. There is something there about being a giving person as opposed to somebody who just takes and tries to hoard things for themselves. Again, the scarcity mindset puts you in a position of anxiety, puts you in a position of fear that you're going to lose things, puts you in a position where you feel like you just have to grab, grab, grab and give as little as you can. But actually, life can be a lot better. So the next question you might ask is, okay, so Aura, how do I practically build an abundance mindset? I think the way the world is structured and the way we navigate this world, we're more drummed, the idea of the scarcity mindset is drummed into us unconsciously, subconsciously, and consciously. And it's a process to actually renew our minds and get to the point where we're no longer bound by this thinking of scarcity, but actually we can think to expand things and also be a channel of blessing to other people and just have that abundance mindset. But again, the question comes, how do I do that? How do I get on this journey where I become a more giving person and a person who thinks more from the abundance mindset? I'll share a few thoughts with you. And if you do have any other thoughts about how to actually build this abundance mindset, I would love it if you could put it in the comment section such that we can all learn from it. But here are a few things I will share with you. One, I did learn from Myron Golden. And what he said is, I think it was in his book, From Trash Man to Cash Man. In that book, he mentions that he has this I can system. Basically, he apportions out his income into about I believe it's six buckets, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, six buckets or six cans in a sense. And each can has a specific reason that you put money in there, and you're not allowed to spend it on something else. So imagine you have an I can invest can, I can have fun can, I can give can. And then one of the portions was a bit bigger, which is the 50%, which would go towards your bills and stuff. But the other I cans meant that you can actually choose to put money in those cans and know that at the end of the day, you are able to spend that money on the things that you want. So let's take a step away from giving for a second. So the I can have fun can. With that can, you say, okay, I must use the money I put into this can towards having fun. There's no exceptions. I'm not giving the money away to charity. I'm literally doing it, using the money to do things that would give me joy, things that would make me feel happier, that sort of thing. Now, with that, when you see that, okay, you have this pot and you absolutely have to use it for that thing, it makes you not think of, oh, maybe I should be spending some money on something else. No, you've actually apportioned it for that purpose. And when you do that, it conditions your mind to think, okay, you know what? There is money available. There are resources available for the things I want. Also in the realm of giving. Sometimes you might feel, oh, maybe I don't have enough, so I don't have enough to give. Well, actually, there is always somebody you can bless in one way or another, whether small or big. So if you have that pot or that can, that I can give can, where you just put a certain percentage, he was saying for the bills, you can put 50%, and for the other I can cans, you can put 10%, put them into 10%. So that would be 5 different cans. And with that, you know that, okay, in that pot, at least my goal is to give away, and it could be, sometimes it could be your resources as well, not just money, but money is just an easier thing to look at in terms of being abundant. So you can say everything in that can needs to be given away in a way that blesses somebody else. Now, how's that for building that abundance mindset muscle, in a sense? Because you're constantly thinking, okay, I have this can, and the goal with this can is to be a blessing, and that's it. And then that helps you separate that from your needs and other things. So something worth trying out. Let me know if that's something you might try out and how you might find it. I know in the past I've had a giving account where I just had an account where I just put some money regularly in. And the goal for that money was that it was never to come back to me, but always to go towards helping someone or helping a particular cause. For me, my cause is that I help a few students on the African continent with their educational journey. So that means paying for their school fees, giving them pocket money, that sort of thing. Most of my students now are towards the end of secondary school or at university, so tertiary level. But that's what I've chosen to do. And every month I just put money aside. I know that it's there. Sometimes I forget to even put in the giving account. I just send it anyway. But just that consciousness of that okay, you know what, this is money set aside every month towards giving is great, because I'm able to be that channel of blessing to somebody else. Now, besides that, what else can we do in terms of practically living in abundance? I want you to realize that it's a gradual process. It's not a thing where you just wake up one morning and think, I am abundant. The reality is there will be things that will come to challenge you. Like I mentioned with my husband, there are ways that he's generous that I don't know that I'm necessarily there yet. I can give of my money, I can give of my time, but of my space, like having other people live in my space and sometimes even take over, I'm not sure I'm at that level yet, but it is something that he's shown me that inspires me. And I think, you know what? I want to be better at giving in different ways. And it's a process. I'm not going to rush into it, but it's something I can build over time. All right, so I'm very business oriented, and another way I can think of putting this abundance mindset into practice is another thing that Myron Golden suggested. He's a treasure trove of wisdom. You should check out his channel. But one thing that you could do is also think, okay, if I'm in business, in order to make more money, it may be that I need to create premium offers, so premium products or services or things that I can offer as solutions to people that solves a problem that they have so deeply that they're willing to pay me what I'm asking for. And sometimes that may be at a high cost or at a high price, but it's something that is providing them even way more value than they are spending money on. Now, if you want your customers to be able to buy your premium offers, or you want them buying your premium offers, you've got to sow. There is a law of sowing and reaping. Where you sow, you reap. And so that means that you should actually invest in premium products. Now, the practical side of it, moving aside from the spiritual side, is the empathy that builds in you, because then you understand why people decide to invest in premium offers as opposed to just trying to find a way to take things or get things for free. Actually experience buying premium products. Understand why somebody might decide to pay money when they could still get it for free. My example of this is YouTube. Now, at some point in the past, I decided to try out YouTube Premium, and it was just great. I loved it. I use YouTube a lot. It's probably the app I use the most, I think, on my phone right now. And just because I learn a lot from other people who put videos out, that sort of thing. But at some point, I mean, everybody experiences it. If you use YouTube enough, the ads are going to annoy you. And at some point, I thought, you know what, let me try YouTube Premium. And wow, like just not having those ads and having the other benefits as well, like having being able to play music in the background and not having it go off when you kind of come out of YouTube has been very valuable. And now I can see I have some empathy in understanding, okay, people will pay to remove a pain of something that's itching basically, and just to help them scratch that itch. For me, it's being able to use YouTube uninterrupted and being able to just constantly learn and not have my thoughts or my engagement with what I'm watching be interrupted by ads. It's fantastic. But then that's given me some empathy such that when I do then go on to create premium products, I know that, okay, this is something I need to bake into the offers that I do, where I'm really delivering on a need that my customers have and really helping them deal with some of the needs that they didn't even know they had in order to really speak to their problem. And in so doing, I will be able to provide provide a lot of value in a way that they'd be willing to pay for. It's just like that. You've got to. So the what he's basically said, what Myron Golden has basically said, is sow where you're looking to reap. So if you're looking to learn more about something, well, or get involved in a particular industry, invest in courses, pay for it. Don't just look at the free stuff. The free stuff is good. By all means, take advantage of that. But actually look at spending money and actually being a blessing to the person who's actually sharing all that knowledge. I think you sort of get what I mean. Again, it's this abundance mindset is about having things in circulation. So having resources in circulation, being that person to actually invest in other people, and then in so doing, they're also investing in you by providing you courses, services, that sort of thing. But then also you grow as an individual, and then you grow as a community because you are empowering others. Again, check out the book Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. I'll also put a link in the description to a video summary I did about that book. But there are many lessons there. So be a channel of blessing, basically, is the summary of everything I've been saying so far. I hope that blessed you. If it did, go ahead and leave me just a smiley emoji in the comments. I'd appreciate it to let me know you got this far. And let me know if this actually sparked something in you, or if you find yourself with the abundance mindset, or if you find yourself with the scarcity mindset, and how you might be looking to change it. Do you think it's worth changing? Do you agree with anything I've said? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But then until next time, check out some of the videos that are going to pop up on the screen, probably somewhere here or somewhere here. All right, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe so you can get more videos like these that challenge you to be better, to know better, to do better, and be better. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.